and they put that in the gymnasium for the hundreds of other inmates to be aware of and maybe practice, and that each of the 10 players I've been working with are almost becoming evangelists, so to speak, of my coaching methods and helping other inmates learn the game. Now they're going to have their first tournament, their first pickleball tournament.
All right, and another day in pursuit of a Guinness World Record, which will be on August 17th at Pickleball America. Venue is set, date is set, but you are making progress every day in your practice. I'm sure you have something else to talk about today of what happened in this week of practice. So give us the update.
Yeah, so people can relate to that feeling of being vulnerable, like what if it doesn't happen feeling. Well, that just happened the other day. And how it happened, I'd already rehearsed
I think I lost him. And he's frozen still. You back? Can you hear me? You froze for a second. You're good. Well, reset.
Yeah.
You were talking about the feeling of
my computer
happening.
Yeah.
Computer went in and out for a second.
Yeah, like rebooted on its own or something.
You're good. I'll let you continue.
So basically, I've already gone through the failure cycle of accepting failure. So I've already been through that. Now it's looking at cues, finding triggers of why this is going to happen. One of the triggers is replacing the word if with when. So, for example, my brother and I were on a call and he had mentioned the word if. And I corrected him. I said, no, when we break the record. It's when, not if. So, with all of that, there was a possibility of a date change. And, it put me into a mindset of the unknown because I have accepted that we are going to set the record on Saturday, August 17th. And so with that possibility of a date change, that threw me for a loop mentally because well, now I don't know what date to target. Luckily, it's a false alarm. The date is definitely Saturday, August 17th at Pickleball America. That has not changed. But when you are both the event organizer and the athlete at the same time, it's challenging. Just like athletes have agents and agents deal with a lot of the other things that would keep the athlete not focused on the goal. So, and I even remember Patrick Mataglu, he, the coach of Serena Williams. I remember in a documentary, he confessed that he lied to his athlete. He basically
what did he say?
He knew that at Wimbledon on grass, a fast surface, that she had to come to net to be successful. But she, although she was winning her matches, he felt that she was not going to win Wimbledon if she didn't come to net more. So he in practice he was trying to get her to go to the net, and she said, "But I'm not winning. I'm sucking at volleying. I'm not winning any points at the net." And he goes, "Serena, I went through the stats diligently. You're winning 80% of the time." She's like, "What? 80%? Yeah, you're winning 80% of the time." Oh, okay. I don't know, must have tracked it wrong. Okay, I'll go to the net. And it wasn't that. But he
Huh.
used the data, the false data, to get her to do what he knew she needed to do to win Wimbledon. I think she went on to win Wimbledon. I think
That's crazy.
that's brilliant,
Yeah.
dangerous, but brilliant. Um, so yeah, uh, it's one of those things. It's the when. So I've got the when back. There's no if in my mind.
Mm,
There's when, and the
mm.
when is the date that now I've been preparing for. So I'm happy there. The second thing is, uh, tomorrow we have a practice at the facility again, and it's gonna be ideally on court number 8. Court number 8 is the court, and I want to see what the visual and vibe is on the exact court that we're going to set the record. So that's going to be a big milestone tomorrow's practice.
Mm.
And then the third development is, we have this 1 hour playlist, and we know if we go through the playlist 2, 3, 4 times, if I hear the Rocky theme song 4 times, I'm gonna be very happy on the 17th. Uh, so that 1 hour playlist, I've been as I drive, I have the playlist going, and I'm putting myself there so that when I arrive there on the 17th and I hear the song, it's that deja vu. I've been here before. I've been here
Mm.
before. So I'm using the auditory prep to be a trigger for my mental game.
So you have the what figured out, as you mentioned, right? So there is no more if. Now, building on that, there are things that we always talk about that are outside of your control. Are you trying to prepare for some of those elements that may come into play? For example, you brought up court 8. Is there any shot you may not actually be able to do it on court 8? Is there a spillage that day that happens on court 8? Like, so when you're going through this, is there certain elements that you're actually saying, you know what, this can occur, but I'm pre-accepting it now?
Yeah, uh, part of it is the way I'm wired. Is
Mm,
I don't need a court. I don't need my paddle. I don't care what the ball is. I just let's go right now. Let's go. Like, just it's
yeah.
all. It's so part of that is that ever ready position of I'm always ready. It's at a moment's notice, I will be ready for the moment. At a moment's notice, I'm ready for the moment. So those, though, if we are not on the exact court, is more of a game day pivot,
Mm,
because I don't want to, and I don't have time, being practical, practice on all 13 courts to get the optics.
yeah.
I'd rather be solid on the one court and chance that. And that would be an uncontrollable that doesn't go according to plan. Uh,
Mm,
and I'm okay with that. I mean, I know that the periphery is going to look different with bleachers on my left and right than non-bleachers. That maybe when people sit down or get up from the bleachers, that might make noise, and those things I am pre-accepting, and it's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
So, kind of building on that, are you also pretty accepting? Because there's a lot going on during that day, right? There is going to be family open play. There is going to be open play based off a skill level. There is going to be all sorts of things going on while you guys are doing this, right? Which could lead into a ball flying onto the court. right? We talked about the open play blowing up on the last podcast. But it's possible, depending on the skill level, that a ball goes flying and rolls all the way on over. Is that something you are also mentally rehearsing and pre-accepting and preparing for in a moment like this?
Yeah, and that has happened before.
Yeah.
Uh, our tennis rally in 2007, a ball rolled behind my brother during our tennis rallies. So during the clinics, but
Mm,
that's where if you are committed to the higher level purpose, what's the purpose? Raise money and awareness for Save the Children charity. We're not doing this in a vacuum or an elevator. Believe me, it's easy to set a world record. Just don't invite anyone. Don't raise money for charity. Just sit there in an elevator. That's a cool,
no eyeballs on you,
yeah,
nothing.
not, and
Yeah.
just do it. Great. That's
Yeah.
easy. That's the easy part. The hard part is you're trying to do something right for people who can't fend for themselves in this
Mm,
world, and you are trying to do it in a big way with the spotlight on you of what you're doing and the spotlight on it. And that is what is the implicit challenge in doing something like this. It's not just setting a world record, it's setting a world record where you're the one also responsible for putting on an event. And so, yeah, the event piece of it is more complex and stressful at times than the actual world record.
it is. I mean, it's a lot of work. The more and more that I've learned about what actually goes into having to set a Guinness World Record, it is 110% not just stepping on the court and hitting over 10,000 balls back and forth, right? And I think that's what a lot of people think. Even you can relate to the professional athletes too. It's like people think that they just step onto the court and play. And little do they know all the preparation that goes involved beforehand, right? All of the mental rehearsals, all of the practices, all of the sightings of the environment. In your case, it's the optics, right? Nobody, I will say the average individual doesn't think of that because they're not exposed to it, right? But in supporting Angelo, there is a lot that goes into setting up this thing. It's actually crazy. But transitioning into kind of what you are also doing, um, I guess also on the pickleball court, but outside of just coaching, outside of just setting Guinness World Records, you've been doing something that's a little bit of special, and a few people have asked you questions about it. Do you want to share us what you got going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a program I've been involved in for about 6 months. It's called the Pickle Program. It's Pickleball for the Incarcerated Communities League. And I've been going to prisons every week uh, to help with rehabilitation and providing an outlet for prisoners to learn pickleball. But what has happened and is happening is that you're touching people. You're moving them in a way, and a lot of them, the inmates, are saying it's much more than just pickleball. It's about life, and it's about you know seeing people for who they are, and everyone in the world has made a mistake. There's no such thing as perfection, and no one's perfect. And so I go in and I do these sessions, and it's a humbling, gratifying experience. I always feel fortunate, when I'm doing it. But the one that I did, I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the last podcast about the juvenile facility, but there was a 20-year-old boy that had said, "You mean you you don't see me as a criminal?" And I said, "No, I
Mm,
I see you as a person." And that's when you earn their respect. When they
yeah.
respect you, they will listen to you. And so you have to gain the respect, and it can't be contrived. It has to be genuine. And that is, the challenge of coaching. It's also like being a life coach in addition to a pickleball coach. Is you have to have the right thing to say at the right moment, and everyone is different. So you
Mm.
can't treat everyone the same, even though the foundational principles of learning pickleball are the same. The style and outcomes are drastically different player by player. And yeah, so I was at one of the facilities this morning, and it was they had told me that they had put my sign. They made a sign of Eagles F. The seven controllables that you can control in pickleball and in life, which is your effort and attitude and gratitude and learning, enjoyment, sportsmanship, and focus on playing freely. And they put that in the gymnasium for the hundreds of other inmates to be aware of and maybe practice. And that each of the 10 players I've been working with are almost becoming evangelists, so to speak, of my coaching methods and helping other inmates learn the game. Now they're going to have their first tournament, their first pickleball tournament in a
You didn't
couple.
tell me that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they can have 8 people at a time because they have 2 pickleball courts that are
Okay.
on taped on 2 basketball courts, so
Yeah.
they can have 8 players playing 4 teams. So each unit, it's called a unit. Each unit is putting up a team, and the units are going to compete against each other. And
Oh my
it's just
God.
awesome. It's just awesome. Yeah.
That is going to be awesome, and I absolutely love that. What do you think made Eagles F resonate with them so heavily for them to want to go and put it on the gymnasium wall on a massive banner for everybody to see? What do you think about it?
You know, that's a good question because
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. It's kind of like
Mm.
it definitely has something to do with being genuine,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where you ever like, YouTube, you try to make a video go viral, it doesn't go viral, but the one that you just don't try to go viral goes viral. Why?
Yeah.
You know, it's it so
So
it's
true.
not,
It's
it's like the mental game. It's like
yeah.
you don't force it to happen, you allow it to happen. So for me, it's in that moment when I sense that they need me to hear this is
Mm.
when I deliver the message. And so part of it is knowing what to say, but a lot of it is knowing who to say it to and when. It's
Mm.
not just because if I just come in there and say, everybody, Eagles F, let's go. Like, what are you talking about? So
They're like, who is this crazy
who,
guy?
who is this guy? Yeah, who brought
Yeah.
this guy in here? We were better off without him. So uh, it's it's more, you know, I'm ready to deliver the message, but it wasn't
Mm.
like this is definitely going to be delivered today. Not at all. It's more when I sense that they need to hear it because they're not living it. They're
Mm.
focusing on outcomes. They're having a bad day. They're getting frustrated or angry. They're not listening. Yeah, then you know,
So the reason that I asked the question is because, like, reflecting, I can see how being in the position that they are in, it probably comes from a place of one, either trying to control everything, right? Or
yeah,
two, feeling like you don't have control of anything. So I feel like the framework that you're providing them of them to be like, there are things that are in my control, and there are things that are out of my control, and actually being able to separate the two, I feel like it resonates with anybody. So in their situation, I feel like it resonates with them even harder because it's like, oh shit, I can do something about this, right? I have control over these things. Um, and I would be so curious to see like what actually I'll have you describe it. So when you were talking to them, you were giving them the frameworks on Eagles F, you're playing pickleball with them. Like what were their reactions? Like a couple people might have been like, what is this guy talking about? But clearly it resonated heavily with others. It's like, what were the reactions that they really had as you were connecting with them?
Well, it was done in a more like one to many approach. In other words, it was
Mm,
a we were wrapping up the session, so it was me wrapping up the session with everyone all at once. I think as a team, they all galvanized together and appreciated the message. It wasn't like 10 messages one on one. It was more one to many at the same time. And I think that's part of the reason why it resonated. I hope to think it's because I really believe in it because it has worked for me. It's worked for athletes that I've coached. And I think they sense that I it's non-negotiable way
mm,
to live and to compete, and it's an easy way to remember it, rather than memorize it. You remember it, and it's internalized, and then you practice it, and then that's when it's a wonderful thing when you're seeing it being practiced. And and I want to go back though to
yeah,
something that triggered a thought. So for you and the audience,
yeah.
what's the definition of insanity? You've heard it 1,000 times. What does everybody say? Like coaches, for example, definition of insanity. What is it? What would you say?
When you do something over and over again and the outcome doesn't change.
There you go. Right?
Yeah,
When you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result,
yeah,
right? That is the definition of insanity. Well, I've had a epiphany, okay,
yeah.
over the last couple of years, but here's the articulation of the epiphany. I completely disagree.
Okay, give it to me.
You
We got,
ready? You
yeah.
ready?
I love this.
When you practice on your board
Mm,
and you do the same dink 1,000 times, are you going to get the same result when you compete?
no.
No, you're going to get better, right?
Yes.
So it's opposite that.
Huh.
You do expect a different result. You better expect a different result. You just got better.
Mm,
So, with that said, the definition of insanity should be trying to control something that is not within your control. That is the definition of insanity. And you heard it here first.
so I, so you obviously caught me off guard with that, but I think it's spot on. And to give reference to everybody on what Angel's talking about with my board, so I basically have a backboard to hit dinks off of and hands drills, hands battles with myself, etc. And my goal's been to do like 10,000 balls a day, just trying to get as many touches as possible. So yeah, to Angelo's point, I had the same shot sometimes over and over and over and over and over again. And yes, my expectation is to go out onto the court and now get a different outcome than I did the week before. So maybe I shouldn't be doing the board. But however, I think you're spot on with the fact of that is something that is in my control. I'm taking advantage of something that is in my control and doing it over and over and over again. If I was trying to take advantage of something outside of my control and doing that over and over and over again, like for example, if I was trying to control the weather every single day, obviously that would be pretty insane of anybody to do because it's outside of my control. I have no idea what the weather is going to bring every single day. Even the weather people have zero idea what the weather is going to bring them every single day. I think we all do that. We look at our phone. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be a beautiful day. It's pouring outside. And we're like, oh, okay, they got it wrong again. Not a shocker. But you're right. I'm curious though, what brought that to you? What made you think about that? Because I love it. It's a hot take, but I love it.
Yeah,
What made that come to you?
I was working for Yvonne Lendl. I was running one of his clubs, and you know, we were doing a coach's training of pros, and I just
Mm,
remember one of the slides being the definition of insanity, and it was, I think, a picture of Einstein. And I have always heard that, and it sounded good and accurate and all of that. And then I kind of challenged it and said, you know, uh, when you're practicing the same thing, you should get a different result because you should be more proficient in that skill.
mm,
And then, you know, the whole controlling controllables, focus on the eagles. I've really gone into an area of accepting what you can't control, controlling what you can, and knowing the difference.
mm,
And then the weather, going to your point, it's you still want to be aware of the weather, and it's how you react to the weather that's important, that you do react, that you have a response or a reply, just like a response or reply to a bad call in a tournament. The
mm,
call is not within your control, but how you respond to the call is. You better have a pre planned response of how you're going to handle that, because that will happen. There will be bad calls, there will be bad weather. So it's just more me putting it all together and questioning it. I always try to question things if they're not working for me or an athlete that I coach.
mm.
And with the prison thing, another update, I don't know, it's not necessarily public knowledge, but I think it's
We'll give it
impact
to him. We'll
in
give it to
impact
him for free on the
in,
podcast.
so there's a couple of professional touring pickleball pros that have reached out to us that want to help us
Mm,
with the mission in the prisons. Okay, and I had said on a recent call that we should have a curriculum, kind of like what I've been doing with the Eagles F and just everything, because it's getting really good results in a short period of time. The prisons are asking me back more than I can handle. It's just going in the right direction.
mhm,
And yeah, so they said that, that they want me to write a curriculum for the prison system, so that when volunteers go in there to coach pickleball, whether they're certified for pickleball or not, most of them are not. They just love pickleball or are pretty good pickleball players, but they don't they need they don't have the certification to coach pickleball, number one. And number two, how do I handle women inmates? How do I handle men inmates? How do I handle the juveniles and that sort of thing? So it's kind of putting that all together, my experience over the last 5-6 months, and just helping others spread the word, so I could duplicate myself, just like Roger Belair, who founded the whole program, has duplicated himself through me.
And I think what a big point there is like whether it is dealing with the incarcerated or anybody else, right? Everybody's a unique character, so they need to be handled a little bit differently. Um, but I do think that the program as a whole is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, you're bringing life and joy to individuals that feel like there is no more joy to life because they're trapped to such a confined space.
Yeah.
And you're also employing them to know that there's another side, that they can take control from this point forward. They can take control of the rest of their life, right? And how they want to handle it and how they want to live out their remaining days, which is awesome. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I'm glad that other pros want to jump on board because that's what it's going to really take to get it to grow as a whole. I can't imagine what they would do if they were like having prisons compete against each other in tournament style play. That would be crazy, crazy, but it would be super cool to see. Um, and I wanted to touch on a point that I wrote down to close with that I think is super important, and that is to consistently question perspectives. And I'm not saying like go out and say everybody's wrong. It's not what we're saying at all. But try to digest things. I'll give you a good reference. There's a book that I've been reading that is awesome. It's called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It's by the individual who created Mind Valley. I forgot his exact name, but I'll at least tag it down below.
Vishen Lakiani. I have the book. I've read it. Yeah, great.
There you go. Awesome. So in there, he talks about rules,
Yes.
which is all it is bullshit rules of society that people that are created for people to tell you like, hey, this is what you need to do in life. Not picking on religion, it's just coming to the top of my head. It's like you get raised as a Catholic, as I have. This is relatability. They tell you there are certain ways that you need to live life. You grow up and you find out of like, oh, I don't need to live life this way. This isn't how everybody else thinks. This is just how my religion thinks. There's other religions out there that I could even explore, right? So there's these bullshit rules, these rules that society may have that may not actually be documented things, may not actually be how you need to live life. Just like in pickleball or with the incarcerated, like there are things to always question because you are unique as a person. So things may work for you that don't work for others, right? And for me, for my example, if I'm relating it to pickleball, if we're getting back on track with pickleball, it's like I may be fast, I may have quick hands, I may be great at resets, but maybe my ground strokes aren't as strong. So with that being said, my game and the way that I want to play my game is completely different than the next person. So if someone tells me I need to hit every third shot dropped as a drive, that doesn't work for my game. That's a bullshit rule of pickleball, right? It really is. But the same thing on the fact of like you could do the same thing with the kitchen line of like you need to run a certain amount of dinks in a pattern or you need to go backhand, forehand. Like that is people's unique playing styles. So if there's any takeaway here, question things, digest them, and figure out what works for you. I know that's a long-winded answer, but I think that's very true for a big point in life. And that book really gave me this unique look to go out in the world and be like, is that a bullshit rule? Is that a rule? Is that a rule? And I'm like looking around as people say things. I'm like, huh. All right, do I need to take that for what it is, or do I take that for with a grain of salt, right? So that is what I have for today, and I don't know if you have anything else that you'd like to clear up with on the world record coming up. Is there?
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's a couple things.
Yeah, if you go to Rally for Charity, FOR charity.org, the official press release is there. The brochures are there for the different levels of play and donation. You can also donate per successful shot, 1 cent, 10 cents, $1, whatever. So, and then also with Pledge, who's a sponsor, and also shout out to our other sponsors. We have Engage Pickleball, who is creating 3 custom paddles.
They're super cool.
Yeah, thanks to a shout out to Robert, Jody, and Josh, and then of course Jay and Brett over at Pickleball America in Stanford. They're the host sponsor. So those are our sponsors as of right now, and of course, Save the Children is the beneficial charity organization,
which is rally for charity.org, correct?
Yeah, rally for charity.org. If you you can also text to donate. So with Pledge, we're using Pledge. If you text 707070 and you text pickleball, the word pickleball, then you can make a donation of any size or get involved and see what's out there. But yeah, so it's exciting. It's all coming together. It's becoming very real. And
how about signing up for play during the event? Because like we talked about, maybe somebody wants to be the person to hit a ball over on your court in the middle of it. How can they sign up to play during it?
Yeah, they go to Team Reach, which is an app, and they type in the code up top, Rossetti Bros, ROSSETTI BROS. Then they'll be a part of the app, And then in there, I typically have inspirational quotes and tips, typically on a daily basis. And if you click
Awesome.
the calendar icon, you could then click yes to participate in the event, and you can put your level that you can see the details of what to do then. But at least that gives you more information about it.
So I will put that. I'll put links and stuff all down below with some directions in the show notes, and go on there, click on the link, and hopefully you can join us on August 17th for the Guinness World Record event. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event. So we hope to all see you there. Ange, thank you very much. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.